Hey everyone, Felipe here. Welcome to another Tower Saviors video. I wanted to make a video about Napoleon after testing him in actual stages, so you may have a better and more informed opinion on whether you want to pull him or not. I've been running Napoleon in the new transmigration and have realized a couple things about him. In this video, I will provide a list of pros and cons and my thoughts on whether you should pull for him or not. Let's start with the pros. First, he is very comfortable to play. His gameplay is very simple, so you don't really have to think a lot when playing him. This is because you only need to do 3 regular combos to hit his maximum damage output, and if you do more, you will deal more damage. Speaking of damage output, his damage output is actually quite insane, and even more so if you run a mono demon team. Something that I noticed during testing is that the CD reduction from his team skill actually stacks, which means that Napoleon's active skills are permanently reduced by 2, which is absolutely busted. If you run a dual leader and ally Napoleon, you have 100% uptime on his second active skill, which is actually really good. This also means that Fire Demon and Fire Beasts get a whopping -8 cooldown reduction upon entering a stage, which is also pretty good. He also gets a baseline 30% damage reduction if you run dual leader and ally, but this can increase to 90% if you run other Blood Extortioner members, which is really nice and helps a lot with survivability. Moreover, he has the Blood Extortioner Lifesteal trait, which pairs up really nicely with this damage reduction because it allows you to heal based on the damage you deal to the enemies. However, he does have a decent recovery multiplier for a demon, and this allows you to recover really easily, especially if you pair it up with his second active skill to generate more heart runes. He also has an easy way to generate high combos because his team skill allows you to get 9 extra combos when you dissolve 9 runes, which is honestly a very easy condition. He ignores most board hazards including burning, smog, tornado, frozen, electrified, lock for recovery, and weaken runes. He can also ignore sticky trail and sticky runes if you have his bonding skill. He also has passive team skills that allow him to ignore fixed combo and puzzle shields for the entire team, which is really nice because these are the most common shields in the game right now. His first active skill is an amazing burst option with really high damage output and really high amount of combos with a single dissolve. It also comes equipped with the ability to break anti-runestone shield first batch. The fixed board is also really good because it allows you to break triple cross shields without doing anything because it generates 3 crosses upon skill activation, and nowadays those shields are pretty annoying to counter if you don't have the right team for it. His second active skill is really useful to generate runes that you're missing and increasing your attack, which is also amazing given the fact that you have 100% uptime on it if it's CD2 with both leader and ally Napoleon. This also helps a lot with mono element cross shields because you can generate up to 12 runes of the same type, which allows you to do 2 crosses of those elements. He also has an on-demand fixed board generation by using character runes, which in my testing ends up not being super necessary because you already have the damage output and the skills to counter most enemies in the game, but it is a very nice thing to have in order to generate runes that you need, or high amount of runes for number shields or runestone number shields. Given that he is a demon leader using demon members, he also has access to the demon exclusive corrupted Yog-Sothoth dragonware, which is honestly one of the most OP dragonwares and allows you to have more comfortable spinning time. He also has a pretty flexible team in terms of team building with a decent member pool. His damage output is focused mostly on the leader and ally given that they are launching 6 extra attacks themselves, which means that for your members you can run mostly supports for your leader and ally and not sacrifice too much damage. The extra attacks are also very powerful, especially because you can tailor what attribute of extra attacks you want to have by having those attributes as your team members. These extra attributive attacks are also very useful, especially against enemies that have damage reduction unless they are hit by a specific attributive type. I also tested running another copy of Napoleon in the team to see if he would get those extra attacks as well. Good news is that another copy of Napoleon does not benefit from the 6 extra attacks, which means that there's no need for you to spend more diamonds to get a duplicate of him. He's also an absolutely busted support member for mono demon teams now and in the future, thanks to his active skills being amazing active skills, as well as his passive team skill to increase basic attack and base HP for demons in a mono demon team. Let's move on to the cons now. The lifesteal from the Blood Extortioner archetype is predicated on dealing damage to the enemy, which means that in the event that you don't deal damage because of shields or other reasons, you won't be able to recover. Also, this lifesteal is based on the maximum HP from your Blood Extortioner members, which means that if you don't run a mono Blood Extortioner team, you won't be able to fully heal, and in some cases, this lifesteal healing will be very little. Also, normal recovery can only be triggered by dissolving heart runes. And in my testing, heart runes can actually be kind of hard to come by sometimes, since his first active skill and fixed board passive both don't generate them, and your second active skill needs a heart rune on the board in order to generate heart runes at all. Additionally, poison enemies and percentage reduction enemies that ignore defense are going to be really painful for him, and this is because of the things I just pointed out earlier. The lifesteal damage will not be enough to heal you sometimes, and if you don't have enough heart runes on the board, you won't be able to recover, and the poison will kill you if you are not above the percentage threshold. Another enemy that can ruin your day is going to be shield break enemies, because your damage reduction from your team skill will not be able to counter them. Moreover, from what I've tested, his HP is actually a little bit squishier than most other meta teams. For example, in a non-mono demon team, the team HP is similar to Atum, but Atum has a shield that refreshes 5 times against any lethal damage. In the meantime, on the other hand, Napoleon will die to many powerful attacks that ignore defense or are above his damage reduction threshold. In terms of utility, he doesn't have inherent initial shield counters or sticky rune counters. Yes, he has the bonding skill, but that is predicated on the fact that you own the newest jackpot card Harvard, in which in many cases you might not have him, or you might be saving for diamonds instead. While his team building is pretty flexible, a lot of his team skills do require some specific team members in order to operate at the maximum efficiency. This is, for example, having a mono blood extortioner member for having the maximum amount of damage reduction, or having a mono demon team to have the max amount of damage and HP possible in the team. This is not much of a deal right now, but in the future with power creep, and as the meta develops and the multipliers are not enough, we will have to see a shift into running mono demon teams in order to be able to keep up with the increasing damage requirements for newer stages. Lastly, and this is more of a personal grievance, the extra attacks happen every single round, which means that the clear times are actually a little bit extended, and that means that I'm spending more time farming different stages and different cards. And now that I'm working, spending more time in the game is something that turns out to be an opportunity cost given the other games that I want to play. In my opinion, Napoleon is actually a very good card to get, He is similar to Black Gold Dodgy in that his gameplay is simple but comfortable and has sufficient damage output to help you cruise through the stages. I think that after testing him, I feel like he is a high tier Black Gold card. While he doesn't have access to the entire card pool like other Black Gold cards, his team building is pretty flexible and has access to really good cards in the game, some of these being free to play. After this, I'm planning on making a video on which members are going to be the best support cards for him, so look forward to that. His damage output is actually really good in the current meta, and can also reach insane amounts with the proper support cards. That is to say, I do expect him to be viable for a good amount of time before he falls off the meta. Even then, I believe that he is an absolute busted member card. His active skills are top notch, since they provide a lot of utility while also increasing your damage output. And not only that, he has a passive skill when run in mono demon teams that increases his base attack, or demon base attack, and demon base HP, which means that for any mono demon team in the future, he will be a top tier support card for them. Overall, I personally think that he will provide a lot of value to your account if you pull for him, and I do personally recommend him. Right now you will get a really good leader, and in the future you will get a really good member. However, if you are tight on resources, I do recommend waiting for now and until the last moment to see if there's anything in the news such as a collaboration or another seal that interests you. That's about all I wanted to say about this card. Please let me know in the comments if I missed any pros or any cons about Napoleon. Remember to stay tuned on my YouTube channel for more Tower of Saviors content. But for now, stay safe, stay healthy, and I will see you next time. Bye everyone!